All right. Good afternoon. Nothing like being fashionably late. We're on island time here, which is great. Um, I I'm excited for the fourth season of Pomelo. For those of you that might not know, I think most of you do. But if you're watching this back in 100 years and you're wondering, why this human instead of a robot is talking to you, because AI has progressed itself enough that we don't need things. It's probably because of interviews like this, where we're bringing in, geniuses like Alex. Alex is here. You're building. Well, you've built kind of out a protocol called Tetrad, and you're working on bringing it to EOS. It's a quant trading platform. And I think this is a really interesting time. We were chatting a little bit before. You're hoping to bring it like in early 2023 to the community and launch on Antelope IO. I mean, honestly, with all the crazy stuff happening in the media, there's no better time for you know EOS.io chains or Antelope IO chains to reassert themselves, as a foundation kind of principle for what decentralized finance can be. I think it's really important that people understand that there aren't very many blockchains that are DPoS that can actually protect users' funds. And if you're coming in from, traditional markets, the last thing you want to have to do is go to, your clients and say, yeah, we kind of lost it all because there was a hack and we can't get it back, right? And if you're following if you're following what they're doing, I think that it's quite interesting that we're one of the only platforms out there that is trying to secure users' funds in a decentralized kind of way. And the interesting thing about this to me, as well, is like we've been doing it with EOS on non-EOS platforms. So I'm super excited to have Alex here because Alex, you're bridging across a few platforms, you're doing a few different things. So why don't you just give us a quick rundown of, the history of Tetrad and why you started it and where you're at now?
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy, thank you very much for bringing us here. And what you were talking about with Recover Plus is actually the number one reason why we want to be on the EOS chain. Because with everything that we saw and experienced last year, there has to be a solution. And I think that technology that EOS has done is just fantastic. So we're going to build most of our products on EOS to give ourselves safety and our users safety, so they know that. How it started is in October of 2021, we wanted to do a research project to be able to learn about DeFi and all the mechanisms that were available. So we did like 2,500 transactions in a very short period of time, trying out everything. And it was wildly successful, right? It was still in the bull market. And because it was so successful, money started pouring in. People wanted us to really go for it. And we were trying to tell them that this is research to build a protocol later, right? That this is not time. It's still such an early industry. And, after a huge success, I watched a lot of people in Puerto Rico lose their fortunes. And it was serious, when people lose everything that they've worked for, whether it be a hack, an exploit, a company falling apart. And so we watched Celsius, Voyager, Luna, FTX, and we watched everything that they did, and we really wanted to work and create a company that did the opposite, right? Not using leverage, not concentrating funds, making sure that we have a lot of diversity and that we're controlling our volatility, that we can build a safe and trusted platform that people can use. So what we've done is, as a core products, is algorithmic trading. And so these algorithms have been running, some of them for 27 months, some of them longer. And I think crypto is really designed for algorithmic trading because it's 24 hours, because it never sleeps, and because of the volatility. It really is like a perfect puzzle piece to be able to fit into it. So our first product is called Bottom Feeder, and we've released it already on chain, but we're going to continue to release products on EOS.
Yeah, so I'm out there. Somebody, just as an example, somebody told me about crypto. I've seen people, potentially make millions of dollars on social media. And I'm coming in, and I'm in the middle of a bull market, and I'm throwing darts at the wall, and everything I touch is 10xing or 100xing, and I'm making
Right.
tons of money. Somebody decides to write a new code that kind of collapses, and the pairing doesn't the pairing doesn't really hold up. And the inflationary supply of one of the tokens goes out of control, and everybody loses their shirt, and it's the biggest collapse that the market's ever seen. And then a few months later, we have a trading platform, not to name any names, but another trading platform that just happens to be a decentralized, quote unquote, cryptocurrency blockchain project that has possibly, because we don't know, the court case hasn't happened, but backdoor, trading rooms that nobody knows about. How does an algorithmic, trading platform help the average user that isn't a big business, that isn't designing and creating these trading platforms? So people don't know, why is this important, and how does it kind of parallel to the ability of normal everyday traders to benefit both in the crypto space and better than they would fare potentially on like open traditional markets?
Yeah, well, let's first compare an algorithmic vault to a yield farm. Yield farms are absolutely fantastic, right? But they have some flaws. One of the flaws is an inflationary reward token. Eventually, your APR, your APY is going to drop as the inflationary rewards continue and the TVL grows. So with an algorithmic vault, and we're actually using no token. So it's all paid in real yield. You deposit USDT, you get out USDT. But as the algorithmic vault grows in TVL, the algorithm, based on its historical data, is going to be able to keep the APR in a range that is very, very similar. So we're not going to shrink the rewards that come out over a long period of time. So to me, algorithmic vaults are superior to yield farms. Now, I still think yield farms are a great product, but because of that, that gives us a little bit of advantage. Some other things that we did is we made a code that is unruggable, right? We have a limited withdrawal that you can have in there, and if someone has a lot of expertise, they can go in and check out the code, because it's going to be open source, and also because that again, we're not going with a token. We're going to prove to people that we can do this without token sales, without Ponzinomics, right? That we're going to be able to have a healthy protocol just on doing a good service and taking care of people. So we just watched what everybody did, and we tried to do it a little bit different.
Sorry, I'm really busy here. I'll get back to you in just a second because I just have to do this,
Okay.
and it's very important that I do this. There we go. All right. Okay. No, I love it, right? And I think like I got my start kind of on the social side of things, but I was saying this as well. Like one of my favorite platforms that actually wasn't on EOS, that was out there doing social content, right? They were one of the only ones that actually tapped into pre-existing decentralized tokens. And a lot in the early days, a lot of these social platforms, they created their own token, and then they got angry because people were writing and then selling the tokens. I mean, that was the whole point of the thing that they created, right? So I like this idea that you guys have done it, with base tokens that, I mean, no token's perfect, as we've seen in the last year of crypto. Anything could potentially crash, but tokens that actually have like probably more of a decentralized community than the distribution of a token yourself. So that's very cool. You guys have, you guys have started not on Antelope IO. Do you want to maybe explain where you got your start and why you've decided to come towards EOS for the Pomelo funding part?
Yeah, so we reached out to a lot of communities, and EOS is the one that came with open arms. And I talked to Chris Barnes first, and he explained to me how the ENF worked, how Helios worked, how Pomelo works. And as we reached out to the other communities, it was just crickets. But EOS gave us support, they gave us resources, and then the community online grabbed onto us and started following us, and then it was really a done deal after that. The main reason is Recover Plus. That's what got us excited. But then when the community engagement happened and there was support, that's what made it work for us. We wanted to, our contracts are in Solidity, so we wanted to be able to go on to Trust EVM. It just wasn't the right time to be able to do that. So currently we're on Polygon, but EOS is where we want to build our products and be able to have most of it, but we're going to have some algorithmic vaults on many chains and then drive it back to EOS, because that's where it's going to be safe. So that's what we're going to, that's kind of our go-to-market strategy.
So and obviously, if you've been following what's happening in the Antelope IO ecosystem and the ability of the block producers to, halt hackers, if you were, or nefarious transactions, I mean, that's a plus. Are there any other pluses that you think might benefit users? Because we see this a lot, right? Like we see a lot of projects on EOS coming out and trying to create products that people from other chains will be able to filter their transactions through because of higher
Mm-hmm.
outputs in terms of speed, because of lower overhead costs, things like that, right? You guys are kind of going the other way. You kind of started with Solidity, you're over there, and now you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at bringing it here because you got a community that's for it. You got
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who want to see projects like this on EOS, and from your end, Recover Plus is good. But what
Mm-hmm.
other things entice you to use the EOS community? Because I know a lot of projects in the past have had problems bringing other people from other chains over, to EOS. What would your what's your take on that? Do you think that it's going to be an issue, having already started on another chain, funneling more users through this network, through this system? What are the other benefits of doing it over there?
Well, I really think that EOS is undervalued right now. I think with the team and the technology and all the incentive programs that they have, that EOS is set to rise, next year and the year after that. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on it. So another thing that makes me excited about it is I feel that it's a diamond in the rough, right? It's really, really poised to grow. And because of the intelligent design, because it's not just Recover Plus or Yield Plus or Trust EVM, it's everything and how much people care about this project to grow. And you can feel it from people. Like the fighting and all the stuff online, it's because everybody wants it to succeed. Everybody wants it to happen. I wish everyone would stop the FUD because it's literally like not time for that. Like we need to collaborate and figure it out. But that's just part of it when you're growing a big project. And I don't see that with other chains. I just see other chains that are just all about the price and they're all about, here's what we got, and they're sitting on their laurels. But I see a lot of people here that are highly motivated, and I want to be a part of that wave. And did I mention the speed of the tech? I mean, obviously EOS is faster, so that is one another huge reason. But I think the culture of the community is really what's driving us.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, like personally, I love Polygon. Like I've got a
Mhm.
few friends who have projects over on Polygon. I think it's absolutely great. I think it's wonderful. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess your plan will probably be to incorporate a lot of what you've done on Polygon back into this ecosystem as well. I mean,
Mhm.
one of the protocols for Pomelo is that you are a public good, right? And so maybe you can go into what kind of public good or service do you guys provide with your platform?
Yeah, so that was actually a tough one for me. I really had to think about this, deeply about how we can serve the community. And first of all, making our code open source so other people can improve on it in the future. But we're also going to allow blockchain developers to have a open code repository so they can put their iterations or improvements on our platform there. And if we review it and it meets community standards, we will place it, as well as algorithmic proposals. So let's say there's an algorithmic creator out there. They've got this amazing algorithm. It is the Mike Tyson of algorithms out there, right? It's going to be awesome. We're going to take our quant and have him run his formulas with it, give them data on it, show them ways to be able to improve their algorithm. After it's tested, audited, and reviewed, if it meets community standards, we'll place that on the platform as well. So we're using our developers and our PhD in quantitative finance to build more algorithmic code and also blockchain code to drive people to EOS.
Yeah, and I like how you go, like in your proposal. I like how you go through the problem, right? Like crypto DeFi will never become a trusted asset class as long as it's preserved in Scam City. I mean, I'd actually add to that. If you there's this misnomer that just because something is on blockchain means that it's decentralized. That's not necessarily true. Whoever writes the code can own it, and they can do whatever the hell they want with it, right? And
Right.
that's like something that I think is really important. I think just having a kind of check mark beside your name, because the code has been, you know, then because the code has been authorized by somebody who's checked it,
Hmm.
maybe isn't good enough for crypto and
Yeah.
blockchain. My personal opinion. I think that the open source code is where it's huge, because then if there is a problem, we can go in and we can look at it and we can say, okay, this was predictable. It should have been seen, right? Again, my favorite example goes back to the Terra blockchain. No one believed him because the guy's a nut job. He's obviously crazy. He just wants his own blockchain to succeed. But I mean, who called the whole Terra thing? There were a few people, but one of the most prominent people to call Terra out was Dan Larimer, right? And
Hmm.
nobody listened. Nobody wanted to listen. I mean, even the critics of Dan Larimer that listened were like, "Well, we had no choice. I mean, the guy's brilliant. Obviously, he knows what he's doing, right?" But once you put these open source codes into effect, then that changes everything, right? So I'm assuming right now the code that you guys have created is not open source.
No, it is open source. You can go on the contracts and be able to see it. The algorithmic code, though, that is not open source. And the reason for that is if people knew what we were going to trade and how we were going to trade, they could actually trade against us and it would hurt our users and hurt our community. Yeah, we're open to be able to share it with people privately, right, with an NDA and that kind of thing for EOS's protection. But if we put it out there, it actually puts our community at a disadvantage. But all the smart contract code and all of that is open source.
All right, so yeah, that's good. So people can go in and they can verify, everything. Now, there's a lot that I think it's admirable that you guys have done that, right? Because there's a
Mhm.
lot of blockchains that don't do that. Sorry, there's a
Mhm.
lot of projects that don't do that. They keep their code, under wraps, for whatever reason, for however long. But yeah, I mean that's good to know that somebody couldn't use certain parts of the code
Mhm.
to benefit themselves over other people, right?
Right.
Uh, so your strategy is to generate revenue from the protocol without a token, proving
Mhm.
your self-sustaining business model to the community. I mean, again, I think this is a really unique factor in the world of DeFi because a lot of these platforms do have their own token. Um, do you have?
Can I share with you the reason why?
Yep.
Yeah, so the library SEC case is really the reason why. If you're not familiar with it, some people are, some people aren't. Library lost the case with the SEC that if you have pre-mined tokens
Right.
and you hold those tokens, and then other people are holding those tokens with the hope of price appreciation, it makes it a security. This
Right.
would make everything out there below Bitcoin a security. So we had worked with some people in traditional finance and some lawyers, and they said that we should go as compliant as we possibly can. And so when we talked to Helios, they were like, just go without a token, right? Just go and don't have that. And that should give you some protection. There's many other things that we did as well. We feel that, this regulation is coming, and we hope that our go-to-market strategy can set an example for other people, right? Like this might be the way that we're going to need to be able to launch to prove that, we're a real business that's making money by helping other people, and we're getting trading fees along the way, not just from, token sales. And, Gabriel Shaw at Helios really helped us with that. He got deep down with us and helped us when we were in the Helios incubator. And probably the best experience I've had in crypto so far was working with him.
Okay. Yeah, and that kind of leads into what I was going to say. So I kind of wanted to ask about like the tokens that would be supported. Like, do you have a protocol for that? Like, are you guys choosing that? Are other people coming to you and pitching those tokens? Is there a verification process? Like, if people are going to come in and use this platform, right? What
Mhm.
can they expect once it reaches the Antelope IO side of things? What will it look like? What tokens will be implemented? I mean, you mentioned the EVM. How are
Yeah.
people going to kind of interact with it?
Yeah, so right now in the MVP stage, right, we have one algorithmic vault and you deposit USDT. It uses an API to send it to the algorithm. Once the trade is closed, it sends it back and people are able to withdraw with USDT. It's very simple, right? As we grow other products, such as like a non-tokenized real yield treasury, perpetual swap, DeFi lending, and on the Antelope platform, we're going to be able to use EOS, USDT, some of the other, major tokens that are out there. For example, Matic, Bitcoin, Ethereum. We'll have an array of tokens that people are able to use on the platform. But right now we're keeping it as simple as possible, that if you're brand new to blockchain, you can participate, right? And that everybody understands how it works. But that's down the road, and that's why we're a part of Pomelo, is we're looking to be able to use the funds to be able to get more development done, and we want to do this as fast as we can.
Right. So this is the is one of the most important things that we got to cover, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
your target is $50,000. Um,
We're not going to hit that. That was dreaming.
well, I don't know, right? Like, I mean, maybe not this season, maybe next season. I mean,
Yeah.
but in the case of partial funding, the use of the funds will be as follows: open source developer code bank and progressive decentralized government will be 20%. Algorithmic code bank and auditing process, 20%. Blockchain development and algorithmic development, 16% each. Initial marketing campaign, 12%. And the operational costs, 16%. Is this in no particular order, or are there things that you're planning on doing first? Maybe you could enlighten us a little bit
I'll
on
make
that.
it a little simpler. So 70% of the money is going to go to blockchain development,
Okay.
20% to operations, and 10% to initial marketing campaign. So, and that it's very close to what those numbers are there. So that's how we're going to use it. So most of it's going to go to our developer.
All right. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the last day.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who are trying to throw a few more EOS into the whole Pomelo thing? Season 4, the last season of the first year of Pomelo, things have kind of started to heat up, right? I mean, the ENF is out there. There's all this, interesting things coming from not only the community in terms of grant funding, but also, from the major industry level as well. Why
Mm-hmm.
do you deserve one EOS from everybody in the community?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks. Actually, I don't deserve it, but the team, the team that we've put together is really fantastic. Alex Pearson has been trading for 5 years and in DeFi for 2 years, and the guy has like over 300x his account, and he's really brilliant. And here in Puerto Rico, a lot of people were coming to him for advice, and that's how I met him. Is he's just one of those people that is on another level when it comes to what's happening in the narratives. Our developer Oxweedy, she's done dApps on Phantom, Avalanche, and Polygon. Any problem we throw at her, she's able to solve. And our PhD in quantitative finance, he worked with Ameritrade. He's a risk manager for a $600 million fund. We have very different ideologies as a team, but together we came up with a concept that we are crazy enough to believe will actually work and improve DeFi. And so we're not asking for a lot from people. We need one EOS from like 20 or 30 people to really get that quadratic funding in place. Yeah,
Right.
so we'd
And,
love their
I
support.
think, like, it's brilliant that is the way that Pomelo is oriented, right? Because
Hmm.
it really changes the dynamic from what most traditional DeFi products would be using as their funding mechanism, right? And a lot of
Yeah,
that is built for investors by investors, right? Whereas
right.
you have this Pomelo community funding protocol. People might be interested to use this. You said 2023. You're hoping to roll something out over on Antelope IO. Are you going to go EOS first? Are you going to plug in a different chain? Are you going to plug in multiple chains that run off the EOS IO code? What's kind of the game plan on that?
Well, the game plan is if our developer is up for it, we're going to put it in C++ and do it right away. If not, then we're going to keep it on Solidity and move it over. It's really, she worked hard to get this set up, so I've given her a little bit of a break, right? Yeah, EOS was our first choice, and we're unhappy that we're not there right now, but we're going to do it as soon as possible. And especially it's part of Pomelo, and I mean, we told everybody that we're holding the flag for EOS. We even threw a party here in Puerto Rico for the EOS community, right? So we're going to be able to get on the chain as fast as possible. It really just depends when she's ready to work again. I think she's up for it. We'll see.
Okay, great. I mean, I'm going to turn it over to you in case there was any loose ends. But, like, I guess my question is when do I get to, which obviously you can't answer, but when do I get to have you on, like, for a full scale live demo? Because I think we're definitely going to have to do that at some point, right? Like, once you get this built out, and once you know get what you have to do in place where you're able to launch something on EOS, like I would
Yeah.
love you come back and bring you onto a tech demo or a Gen spotlight and just get an inside look, at how the platform looks, right? But I guess in order
Yeah.
to get there, we need a little bit of funding. We need a little bit of time. And to be honest, if we're looking at January or February 2023, that's like a lot more ambitious than a lot of these projects. And again, one of the things that I'm noticing a lot with a lot of projects, yours included, this season of Pomelo, just happens to be the fact that there's a lot of projects out there that have built something, right? Like that
Right.
partially built, that have designed something, right? This is a far cry from the original season of Pomelo, where it's like, give us money and we'll build stuff, right? Like,
Right.
like hats off to that. Like, I'm really glad that
Thank you.
you guys did that. Is there anything else that we should know about the quant trading platform Tetrad that you guys have put together?
Um, just know that we're taking compliance very seriously. And so, there's a lot of barriers to entry right now because we don't want to be one of those people that are making it on Twitter, on these Twitter spaces in the future. So, excuse the barriers to entry, but it's just what we see coming for crypto in general. And we're being very, very safe about it. I'm extremely happy with the EOS community. And I just hope that it continues to work. People can forgive the past, look ahead to the future, and make this chain what it's meant to be, which is like one of the best blockchains in all of crypto. So that's it, really. Oh, I will get back to the developer and I'll let her know like what date, and then we can schedule something for the future. Okay.
Yeah, no hurry. I just, I'm really excited to see how this kind of works out, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball. I did, but my son broke it earlier. You know, but true story, actually. Dropped it on the floor, which was really fun. But I think that it's going to be telling coming out of this bear market and into the next bear market. Personally, I kind of feel like the next rise in the crypto awareness is going to become compliance. I don't think
Hmm.
there's any other option, right? Like we've had probably two of the biggest crashes ever in crypto,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In the last 6 months, right? It's still
Yeah.
ongoing, still investigations, people getting arrested, right? It's hard to read through, all the fun and decide what's going to happen. But I think it's becoming increasingly obvious that, you brought up the library case, that if you're going to start offering financial services to people, then let's face it, whether you want to abide by regulation or not is going to be really up to you as a project or as an individual, as a person. But in
Yeah.
order for us to breach the threshold of mainstream adoption, we're going to need protections for people and industries and businesses. Because I mean, if not, why doesn't everyone just spend $50,000 on a bunch of lottery tickets and see what happens, right?
Right.
So I'm really happy that there's people like you in the space that are focused on compliance, right? And I'm
Yeah.
really happy that you're going where you need to go in order to develop something that will be used, by the world. And I'm really excited to see how this goes. So definitely go in. I'm gonna have to do it right now, actually, because this is one of the ones that I missed. To the Pomelo proposals, find hopefully some projects that you believe in, and if you paid attention to this interview with Alex in the next, I don't know, 18 hours or so before the closing. I don't know when the closing is, so please check it yourself. Then toss an EOS or two, and definitely support DeFi, support trading, support finance on EOS.io, because I think it's going to be big. I mean, there might be a movie someday about it.
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it.
All right. For all of you, I think we might have one or two more decks in the next few hours. But this is, Jimmy D signing off. If you happen to be out there and listening and you haven't done your pitch for the season and you want to, and I'm around, more than happy to guide you through the process of getting your mission out there to the community so that they can support you. Alex, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck with all of the development. And I'm really excited to see what you guys put together and bring out in terms of a full-fledged platform on EOS.io. Definitely check the pitch. I'm gonna put it in the comments. I actually got so excited that I forgot to do that, which is funny. You can find it over on Pomelo Grants. Tetrad Quant is the name of the proposal. You can also find it here in the comments. We will put this out right now. And thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you. Bye bye.